the revolution in our fields, how black women farmers are cultivating change. Welcome to a conversation that will challenge everything you thought you knew about farming, sustainability, and the untapped potential of women in agriculture. Today, we're diving deep into insights gleaned from an extraordinary individual, Cheryl Ann, a visionary pioneer reshaping the landscape of black women farmers. Now, her work isn't just changing lives. It's sowing the seeds of a global revolution that could transform our relationship with food, community, and the earth itself. Teach a man to farm, he will feed his family. Teach a woman to farm, she will feed the world. These words aren't just a catchy phrase. They're a powerful truth that's reshaping our understanding of agriculture, sustainability, and economic empowerment. But before we dive into this revolutionary concept, I want you to pause for a moment and consider what image comes to mind when you think of a farmer. For many, it's a familiar stereotype. A weathered man in overalls standing in a vast cornfield, pitchfork in hand. It's an image that's been ingrained in our collective consciousness for generations. But what if I told you that this image isn't just outdated, but fundamentally flawed? What if I told you that the future of farming, and perhaps the key to solving some of our most pressing global challenges, lies in the hands of women, particularly black women? Now, I can almost hear the skepticism. After all, farming has traditionally been seen as a male-dominated field. But here's a statistic that might make you sit up and take notice. There are 1.2 million women farmers in the USA, making up 36% of all farmers. And while black women farmers represent an even smaller percentage, their impact is nothing short of revolutionary. This isn't just about changing the face of farming. It's about reimagining the entire agricultural system from the ground up. It's about recognizing that when we empower women in agriculture, we're not just feeding families. We're nourishing communities, strengthening economies, and quite literally changing the world. But let's back up for a moment. Why is this shift so crucial? Why should we care about who's behind the plow or tending the crops? The answer lies in a fundamental truth that Cheryl Ann and countless other black women farmers have recognized. Land ownership and self-sustainability are not just nice to haves. They are essential components of physical and financial health, particularly for black communities. Think about it. For generations, black Americans have been systematically denied access to land ownership. The effects of this exclusion ripple through every aspect of life, from nutrition and health to economic stability and generational wealth. By reclaiming their place in agriculture, black women are not just growing crops. They're cultivating change. Let me share with you the story of Leah Penniman, a black woman farmer who co-founded Soul Fire Farm in New York. Leah didn't just start a farm, she created a movement. Soul Fire Farm is dedicated to ending racism and injustice in the food system. They train the next generation of activist farmers and support black and brown farmers in accessing land and resources. Leah's journey wasn't easy. She faced discrimination, lack of access to capital, and skepticism from her own community. But she persevered, driven by a vision of food sovereignty and racial justice. Today, Soul Fire Farm is a beacon of hope, training hundreds of BIPOC farmers each year and distributing thousands of pounds of fresh, culturally appropriate food to communities in need. This story isn't unique. Across the country, black women farmers are overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles. They're turning barren plots into thriving farms. They're revitalizing entire communities through their agricultural endeavors. These aren't just feel-good anecdotes, they're proof of a powerful concept. When we empower women in agriculture, we're tapping into a wellspring of potential that has been overlooked for far too long. And I can almost hear some of you thinking, that's all well and good, but how does this affect me? I'm not a farmer. I don't even have a garden. And that's exactly the kind of thinking we need to challenge. Because the truth is, this isn't just about farming. It's about reimagining our relationship with food, with the land, and with each other. Consider this. Every time you eat a meal, you're participating in the agricultural system. Every dollar you spend on food is a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. When you support black women farmers, you're not just buying produce, you're investing in a more equitable, sustainable future. But it goes even deeper than that. The principles that make women, particularly black women, such powerful forces in agriculture. resilience, creativity, community mindedness. These are principles that can transform any field, any industry. Whether you're a tech entrepreneur, a teacher, or a corporate executive, there's something to be learned from the revolution happening in our fields and farms. Let's talk about Kimberly Ratcliff, a former Wall Street professional who left her high powered job to return to her family's farm in Texas. Kimberly didn't just take over the farm, she transformed it. She introduced new technologies, diversified the farm's operations, and focused on sustainable practices. Today, Kimberly is not only running a successful farm, but also mentoring other Black farmers and advocating for policies that support small scale agriculture. Kimberly's story challenges our assumptions about what a farmer looks like and what skills are needed in modern agriculture. It shows us that the principles of innovation and entrepreneurship that we celebrate in Silicon Valley are just as relevant and just as revolutionary when applied to farming. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the idea that farming isn't sexy. It's dirty, it's hard work, it's far removed from the glamorous world of startups and tech innovation. But what if I told you that farming is not just sexy, but perhaps one of the most revolutionary acts you can engage in? Hash farming is sexy isn't just a hashtag, it's a movement. It's about recognizing that there's nothing more attractive, more powerful than taking control of your own sustenance, of connecting directly with the earth that feeds you. It's about understanding that in a world of increasing uncertainty, the ability to grow your own food, to nurture the land, is not just a skill, it's a superpower. But don't just take my word for it. Let's look at the numbers. Studies have shown that farms run by women are often more productive, more sustainable, and more focused on crop diversity than those run by men. Women farmers are more likely to implement environmentally friendly practices, to prioritize food security for their communities, and to reinvest their profits in education and healthcare. In other words, when we empower women in agriculture, we're not just changing the face of farming, we're changing the very nature of how we interact with our food system, our communities, and our planet. Now, I can see some of you shifting uncomfortably in your seats. Maybe you're thinking, this all sounds great, but what does it have to do with me? I'm not about to quit my job and buy a farm. And that's okay. The beauty of this revolution is that there's room for everyone to participate, no matter where you are or what you do. Maybe for you, it starts with seeking out and supporting Black owned farms in your area. Maybe it means starting a small garden in your backyard or on your apartment balcony. Maybe it's about educating yourself and others about the importance of sustainable agriculture and food sovereignty. Whatever form it takes, the key is to start seeing yourself as an active participant in the food system rather than a passive consumer. Because here's the truth: every meal you eat, every food choice you make is a political act. It's a statement about the kind of world you want to live in. Let me share with you the story of Keisha Cameron, founder of High Hog Farm in Georgia. Keisha didn't start out as a farmer. She was a busy professional with a young family when she decided to start growing her own food. What began as a small garden grew into a passion for sustainable agriculture and a commitment to food justice. Today, High Hog Farm isn't just producing food, it's creating community. Keisha runs educational programs, hosts farm to table dinners, and provides a space for Black families to connect with the land and their cultural heritage. Her work is healing the land through sustainable practices, healing her community by providing access to fresh, healthy food, and healing the deep wounds left by generations of displacement and discrimination. Keisha's journey shows us that you don't have to be born into farming to make a difference. It shows us that small actions taken with intention and passion can grow into movements that transform communities. But let's take it a step further. What if we applied the principles of women led agriculture to other areas of our lives? What if we prioritized resilience over short term gains? What if we valued community well being as much as individual success? What if we saw nurturing of people, of ideas, of the earth itself as a fundamental business strategy? The possibilities are mind boggling. We could revolutionize not just our food systems, but our entire economy. We could create businesses that are not just profitable, but regenerative,
that give back more than they take. We could build communities that are not just sustainable, but thriving. This is the vision that Cheryl Ann and countless other Black women farmers are bringing to life every day. They're not just growing food, they're growing a movement. They're showing us that another way is possible, a way that honors the earth, empowers communities, and recognizes the inherent value and power of every individual, regardless of gender or race. But here's the catch: this vision can't become a reality without you, without all of us. Because while these women are leading the charge, they can't do it alone. They need our support, our engagement, our willingness to challenge our own assumptions and change our behaviors. So here's my challenge to you: start small, but start today. Look at your plate. Where did that food come from? Who grew it? What practices were used? Then make one change, just one. Maybe it's buying your produce from a Black owned farm. Maybe it's starting a small herb garden. Maybe it's having a conversation with your friends or family about food sovereignty. Whatever it is, do it with intention. Do it with the understanding that you're not just changing a habit, you're participating in a revolution that's happening in fields and farms across the country, led by women who have decided that they will no longer accept the status quo. Remember, every great movement started with a small group of people who refused to accept things as they were. The agricultural revolution being led by Black women farmers is no different. It's a movement that's redefining what it means to be a farmer, what it means to be sustainable, what it means to be truly nourished. So the next time you hear the phrase Black women farmers, I want you to think beyond the stereotypes. I want you to see not just individuals working the land, but visionaries reshaping our world. I want you to see the future of agriculture, the future of sustainability, the future of community empowerment. Because make no mistake, this is the future, a future where farming is sexy, where sustainability is non negotiable, where communities are empowered, and where Black women are leading the way. A future that's being cultivated right now in fields and farms across America. The question is, are you ready to be part of it? As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. The revolution in agriculture that we've discussed today isn't just about farming, it's about reimagining our relationship with the earth, with our communities, and with ourselves. It's about recognizing that true power doesn't come from domination, but from nurturing. And it's about understanding that when we empower women, particularly Black women, we're not just changing individual lives, we're changing the world. So I challenge you: look at your life, your work, your community. Where can you apply these principles? Where can you nurture instead of exploit? Where can you empower instead of control? Where can you cultivate change? Because here's the truth: we are all farmers in our own way. We're all cultivating something, whether it's food, ideas, relationships, or businesses. The question is, what are we growing? And is it nourishing not just ourselves, but our communities and our world? As Cheryl Ann and the incredible Black women farmers across America are showing us, when we choose to nurture, when we choose to empower, when we choose to see the sexy in sustainability, that's when real change happens. That's when we start to grow a future that's not just sustainable, but truly thriving. So let's get our hands dirty. Let's dig deep. Let's cultivate change because the seeds of revolution are already planted. Now it's up to us to help them grow. The future of our food, our communities, and our planet is in our hands. Will you join these remarkable women in tilling the soil of change? Will you be part of this agricultural revolution that's not just about growing food, but about growing justice, equality, and a sustainable future for all? Remember, every time you eat, you're making a choice. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. So I ask you, what kind of world do you want to cultivate? What seeds will you plant today? The revolution is happening in our fields, in our communities, in our kitchens. It's time to grab your metaphorical or literal shovel and join in. Because this isn't just about farming. This is about reimagining our entire relationship with food, with the earth, with each other. This is about growing a future where everyone can thrive. So as you leave here today, I want you to ask yourself, how will you cultivate change? How will you support this revolution? How will you help grow a more just, sustainable, and delicious future? The soil is rich. The time is now. Let's grow this revolution together.